incredible figure of 8 Suzuka circuit with 10 to the right and 8 to the left, and a distance of 3.6 miles. Average lap speeds around here are pretty quick, so watch out because sectors 1 through 3 will be completed in just under 1.5 minutes. The track is so challenging and the drivers really have to be aware of all of the tricky turns and faults that could go with them today. Well, qualifying on Friday was interesting. There was only 15 people there, but regardless, Max Chapman with a 1 minute and 26 second lap put himself on the pole position. He's joined by Torben Schutt in P2, but behind the only medium runner on the mandatory compounds, Alex Rensser, 6/10 slower, and next to him, Andre Abreu. On the third row of the grid, Dylan Hartley and Joel Foxall line up in 5 and 6, and behind them, Rafal with his best start yet in the league, P7, with him 1.1 seconds behind. Archie Middelfeld joins him on the fourth row of the grid. Behind them, Josh O'Mara for the second time getting into qualifying 3, and joined by him is Jay Robinson in the AlphaTauri. Behind them on the free tyre choice, Andre Muster and Kevin O'Mara, P11 and P12. Behind them, Svenny and Ian. Ian was crashed into in qualifying 1 by the man in P17. He's received a grid pane, so need to worry about that. But behind them, P15 and P16 and P18 and P19 and P20, they did not start. But Rio Evan is down to P17 with that 5th place grid penalty. That's your grid, ladies and gentlemen. Thomas Sal obviously no longer with us in the league, and Ben not joining us today. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, what a race. Today will be once again joined by Sam in the commentary box for the formation lap here at the Suzuka circuit. What an interesting race today will be. What an interesting time this lap will be. And these drivers really got to get into their minds how we're going to do it today. And I hope you all enjoyed the slightly different intro for this week. And obviously a tribute to all of those men and women who worked behind the scenes and on the scenes for us to see and watch every single one of the Formula 1 races. There is a bit of a collision there, I think, maybe between Max Chapman and Torben Schutt. They may be disqualified from the session, not too sure there. Torben Schutt is on the incorrect tyre compound. That is going to be detrimental. He's going to have to come in and change that, isn't he, Sam?
He is indeed. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Suzuka. Yeah, that's not a good start for Charlie at all. I'm not sure why he would have made that mistake. That's a pretty fundamental mistake for him to make. That's going to affect the rest of his race.
Yeah, I mean, Alex Rensser, we did see him going onto the medium compound. That is correct, but not correct for Torben Schutt. Maybe an issue in the garage. We saw that with the Renaults a couple of weeks back. So, what sort of stuff does he need to? Sorry, what sort of stuff does he need to do now? Does he need to go in and change them, or?
Yeah, I mean, he'll have to change them as soon as possible. Unfortunately, in the game, you can't change them on the formation lap, but you can do that in real life. But yeah, that's not good for Charlie. That is not the start he wanted. You know, he was half a second behind Max in qualifying, and now he's starting on the incorrect tyre compound. I mean, that is a straight slam dunk penalty if he doesn't replace the tyres as soon as possible.
Well, Suzuka has got 18 corners. We talked about it. They're coming through the Casio triangle now towards the rear of the grid. Alex Rensser had a pretty decent lap, and he's starting on the mediums. So interesting stuff here for the start of this race.
Indeed, it's going to be a good one. Hopefully lots of overtaking, lots of action in the race. I do hope for that today. Obviously, we've already got a bit of action before the race has even started with Charlie on the wrong tyres.
Yeah, absolutely correct there. But towards the rear of the grid, we see a new driver here, Tom Roskell. He's joining the rear of the grid. The lights will be coming on in just 1 second. Get ready, folks, for the start of the Kenco F1 Suzuka Japanese Grand Prix. The lights are on. We see them all. Up there, there's a yellow flag slightly. That turns to a green flag. And so the drivers will be getting the lights on their screen. They'll be coming up. 1, 2, 3, 4. There'll be 5 lights. And it is lights out and away we go. Arguably, Max Chapman gets a better start than Torben Schutt. Down the inside, already diving, is Joel Foxall. Towards the rear of the grid is Alex Rensser maintaining his position from the start. But Joel Foxall already up into P3. Good job from him so far. Towards the rear of the grid, Rafal got a great start, jumping Andre Abreu by 2 positions there. Archie Middelfeld in P7. He's gained a couple of positions as well as Dylan Hartley in P8. Josh O'Mara not gaining any positions behind him. Joe Robinson, neither has he. Kevin O'Mara has gained 1 position on the start. He's only only one position off the points, and he might go around the outside. This yellow flag in sector 1. I'm not too sure what that is for, but there's a fastest sector now posted by Max Chapman. He's flying through the first sector, 34 seconds, and it is kerfuffles after kerfuffles after kerfuffles, and there's a 5-second time penalty between Nuts and Matt does things. Then the predicted pit stop strategy says here, lap 10 or 11, we will see pit stops onto the hard tyres. So what do you reckon? And there is a yellow flag there. That's Archie Middlefeld. He's gone off in sector 2.
I mean, a great start once again from Max, retaining that lead from Charlie. As we know, Charlie's got to come into the pits, but Ripley down in P14. He's gained an incredible amount of positions on his first ever start in the league. So a great start from the Haas driver there. Ian down in P16 losing a few places, but a pretty clean start to the race thus far.
Tom Roskell, more like Tom Rosberg here. He's cutting through the rear of the field, and he's already passed Adam Forbes and Ian Hanmore. Ian Hanmore, we told him, we saw about his sort of events that happened in qualifying just coming through this corner now. We were on board with Torben Schutt, who just saw just how close it was with those drivers in that middle sector. We're on board with Max Chapman, we're on board with Torben Schutt, who is chasing Max now, but he still has decided not to come into the pits.
Yeah, he's got to do it on this round, has Torben Schutt in. That Ferrari's on the wrong tyres. He's on those medium tyres. He's meant to be on the soft tyres. Joe up into P3, gaining 2 positions on the start. That's really good news for him. We have Rafael falling down the order. It looks like he's gone wide into P1. He's collided with Nados.
Oh no, that's not great. He's gonna lose a bit of time there and lose a few positions behind Ian Hammer and Adam Forbes, absolutely going at it for the P12 position. Ian is relentless, and oh, who spun? That's Svaney. Svaney spun for P13. Oh no, he's all the way down. He's gonna lose so much time on those medium tyres. He would have had so much more of a pace advantage later on into the race, but I don't know if that's the case. If he's spun, he's possibly flat spotted his tyres already. Kevin O'Mara electing to pit. James Wilson in P16, and Andre Muster, last week's pole sitter, is already down to P17. Shocking start from him. And at the rear, Rio, who, he got a 5-place grid penalty, he's all the way back in sector 1, so really not a great start for him so far, is it?
Yeah, we've had a few casualties going into turn 1. I think Thomas Ripley, as you said, he got caught up going into turn 1 with that incident between Nados. So he's lost a bit of his front wing. He's going incredibly slowly down into P14. I mean, he's still gained 5 positions, but he's got some serious wing damage by the looks of it.
This is absolutely ridiculous. Max Chapman's already a second and a half faster than Torben Schutt in the entire lap. So I mean, I'm not sure what that indicates. Obviously the soft tyres are obviously always going to be faster than the medium tyres, and Torben Schutt does have only this lap to come in before he is disqualified from the session. So if he does not come in this time, and the stewards probably should go into his voice chat or something and tell him that that's going to happen, but I have no way of doing that. I don't know if Sam does, but he needs to come in this lap. If he doesn't come in this lap, he is disqualified from the race.
Yeah, certainly. I think he is trying to extend this stint as much as possible on these medium tyres, of course. But yeah, I'm sure he will come into this lap. Otherwise, as you said, that would be serious consequences for his race.
That's a shame. He's never ever been disqualified or penalised in any major way here in the Kenco F1 Kenco F1 League. I'm a little bit confused because Matthew Widdowson, who is just doing quite well for himself into the points, there's a virtual safety car because he is out. We are on board with, I think we're on board with Archie Middlefeld now through the middle sector. We'll see. We'll go on board with him, see if he can do anything. That is not great news for the Haas team because both their drivers are now having to pit. But it is great news for Torben Schutt. That means he can sort of extend the stint on the mediums and possibly get a free pit stop depending on how long this lasts.
Yeah, certainly. It looks like Matt has crashed into the wall in the first sector. Those S's, incredibly tricky set of corners, especially on colder tyres. I'm riding on board with Kevin O'Mara down in P15, and yeah, I saw him into the barrier around turn 4. So not good news for the Haas driver. Obviously, he didn't qualify, so he didn't get that practice underneath his belt. But yeah, this is good news for Torben Schutt as he does come into the pit now to replace these incorrect tyres.
It was really unlucky for him that the VSC came out, went in just as he was coming into the pits. We'll see him now go onto the soft red mark tyres fitting the Ferrari car. Number 41 will be, well, plumb last, I reckon, as he comes through, but maybe the virtual safety car could have helped with a little bit of the pain being released of that. He will be still in the points. He's gone, his teammate has gone past him now. He's into P10. He will still remain in the points positions, but it's still 10 positions to gain to get back to fighting with Max Chapman.
Yeah, certainly not the start he wanted at all. He had some good race pace by the sounds of it. Obviously onto those soft tyres now, so he may be able to get those positions back, but he's already got that one pit stop under his belt. What's
interesting there, Alex Rinser on the medium tyres has just done a fastest sector 1. So I'm not too sure what's going on here, but clearly the soft tyres dropping off a hell of a lot, and someone pushing a lot harder than some of the others, especially now with Alex Rinser in P3. He has gained 0 positions on the start, but he's managed to maintain his P3 position. He qualified on the medium tyres, and then in Q3 put in quite a shift to put himself into P3 in Q3. So interesting stuff there from him. He is in the Red Bull. They haven't been doing great, but he's chasing down Joel Foxhill. We'll see what he can do. Now coming down the back straight through 14 all the way down towards 15 now. You can see we've just gone over the bridge that goes over the top of turn 9 and turn 6. Now into the Casio triangle, 16, 17 and 18. Then we'll see what we can do with here. We'll have to go to a small intermission now, just whilst we get the other commentator back into the session. I'm not sure if Sam is here. If he is, can you let me know? But otherwise, it is 5 people on the medium tyres now, and the rest on softs, and one of them being Alex Rinser. He is on the medium tyres.
Yeah, I am back. I've had a few technical issues there, but yeah, I'm back now, just waiting to get back into the session. But as you said, you know, it's all about the strategy now, people coming in, deciding when they need to pit. Obviously, we had the majority of those in the top 10 on those soft tyres. They're going to be trying to extend as much as possible before they either go onto the medium or the hard.
On board with Alex Rinser, we just saw Joel Foxhill touch a bit of grass down that straight. He's lost a little bit of time now and a little bit of pace and gone onto the gravel there. It's going to be a huge run now for Alex Rinser down towards turn, I believe it is turn 6 and 7. Turn 9. Now through turn 13 and into 14. Sorry, it was turn 13 and 14, not turn 9, but another fastest sector here for Alex Rinser as Torben shuts this fastest sector 1 on the new soft tyres. He is chasing relentlessly Alex Rinser, and Joel Foxhill's pace is starting to diminish. Now Joel Foxhill looks like he is set for a podium if he can continue this going, but Alex Rinser is looking even more set with the pace that he's got. He's got 6/10 to the car in front, but it was so little the lap before, and DRS will be activated this lap, so it'll be interesting to see what sort of positions he can make on this next lap coming up.
Yeah, certainly going through 130R, Alex backed off a little bit. I mean, Joel looks like he had a bit more pace on the straight, but coming through the chicane, Joel's going much, much more aggressive over the curbs. Looks like the soft tyres, as you said, really falling off now for the Racing Point.
Andre Abreu is just marginally behind 2 seconds, and Dylan Hartley behind him by 1 second. So a lot of drivers now coming into the pit window. Tom Rothskell, who we saw with an amazing start up into P14, he is now plumb last. Both of the Haas drivers are sort of in a little bit of a sticky situation, you could say. Alex Rinser's lost a lot of time here through the S's because of that dirty air of the 2020 configuration cars behind them. We see Andre Abreu on the soft tyres, and behind him, Dylan Hartley also on the soft tyres. So we'll see what sort of pace he comes from these drivers.
Yeah, certainly, and I think Alex Rinser's really getting the advantage of these medium tyres. They're able to go much, much longer into the race. And that is really affecting Joel. And even coming into turn 11, the hairpin, it looks like Alex Rinser may be making a move on Joel Foxhill. He's a bit too far back by the looks of it. It was getting so close though now.
Yeah, I mean, now on the run down towards turn 12 and turn 13, we'll see what sort of move he wants to make. He's used all of his ERS just to catch up to Joel, and into here we could see a deep dive late on the brakes move. Joel defends perfectly, sticking his car in the middle of the track, nowhere for him to go. Not taking a great line through here, Alex Rinser, but Joel gets clearly the better exit, but no, he's hit the grass on the exit, and now he's going to have the pace advantage on the slipstream and all of the ERS and DRS and whatever he can get down the pit straight through 130R. Now he's going to come down towards turn 16 and 15, and he's going to go and he's going to dive through the Casio triangle. He was a little bit further back, and Joel Foxhill locks up, but no move there from Alex Rinser today.
I mean, great defending from Joel there in P2. He's really fighting to keep that position. He knows as long as he disrupts Alex behind him, his tyres are really going to be feeling it. So he's playing the strategic game here. Obviously, Joel on those soft tyres, he'll be expecting to come into the pit soon. I mean, Max Chapman up in P1, he's 4.5 seconds ahead of Joel, so, you know, he's not achievable. So he's just defending for this position really hard now.
We're talking about positions gained and lost. Josh Amara losing 4 positions on the start, and his teammate gaining another 6. So what's happened there at McLaren?
Yeah, it looks like Josh had to come in for an early stop, replacing that front wing as well. I'm not sure if he came into contact with...
I'm sorry, I just saw Adam Forbes into turn 1 has gone pushed Ian all the way onto the grass, and Ian almost did a Tokyo drift. We are in Japan, but I wasn't expecting that from Ian, and certainly not that sort of driving from Adam.
Yeah, as you said, Adam up in P10. He's obviously made a few positions, quite a few positions gained in the race thus far, but you don't want to do that aggressive defending into turn 1. You know, the stewards really don't like that. You can only make one move under braking, otherwise there will be repercussions from that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure he's learned his lesson now. Ian's all the way back on his tail already. He's fighting like a dirty dog in a dog-fighting ring here, Ian. He's the top dog, as it were. But regardless, he's in a Mercedes. He's feeling like he can win this race. Hypothetically, I mean, I don't think Ian would win this race. Sorry, Ian, but still, in P11, he's pushing for the points. A point is great enough for him, and even into the mid-points is great enough for Ian. A snap of oversteer there on the exit, and he's been chased by Svaney, who's had quite a difficult weekend. He got spun around in qualifying, and then we saw him spin a couple times on his hot lap, so yeah, he's chasing, but he's managed to make a couple of positions from the start.
Yeah, not bad. Svaney considered he was facing the wrong way a few laps ago as well. So he's obviously recovered that car pretty nicely. Ian's obviously got some good pace behind Adam as well. You know, he's consistently behind him. And he's going to get that DRS, in fact, down the start-finish straight. Is it going to be enough going into turn one? He's still quite far back. Is Ian about half a second? I'm not sure it'll be enough this time round, but nevertheless, he has got some good pace compared to the McLaren in front of him.
Yeah, I agree, but it's just a matter of fact is, does he want to pit early? We were going into the Amazon Web Services said lap 10, lap 11 would be the pit window, but now we're getting 8 or 9. Do you reckon an undercut could be on the cards in the next couple laps?
Oh, potentially, no. It's all about strategy in Formula One. There's so many opportunities for strategy, so I don't see why Ian wouldn't attempt that. Or as Rafa,
there's a huge collision there. Huge collision between 3 of the cars, and Rafael, I'm not too sure what happened, but as he re-entered the track, Adam Forbes went straight into the back of him, and then Hanmore into the back of him as well. And that just puts Svaney in an even better position. Both the cars in front of him has wing damage, and possibly Rafael as well, so they're going to have to come into the pits. I'm not too sure what was going on there from that Ferrari driver.
Yeah, I saw the yellow flag out in Sector 2 for the Ferrari driver. He was off the track for a very, very long time. He obviously re-entered the track in a fairly unsafe manner, but all 3 of these cars now having damage, I believe. That is Adam Forbes, Svaney, and Ian. So they've all lost out because of that car in the way.
And I'll tell you who's benefited from it. It's Svaney Kawastad down in well, he's now into P10. He's got past the 2 drivers and is looking for Adam Forbes in P9 now. And, wow, well, considering he was spun round and facing the wrong way a couple laps ago, what a drive. What a recovery drive it has been from Svaney. We're on board with him now as he comes down the pit straight, and he's going to get the DRS and slipstream of Adam Forbes as he comes down the pit straight. The soft tyres are just no match for the yellow match medium tyres, and, well, he's well ahead into turn 1.
Yeah, certainly. He obviously actually hasn't picked up any wing damage as a result of that little incident, so he's managed to gain 2 positions in the space of a lap. So really good news for the Williams driver, up into the points, into P9 in fact. Adam still looking like he has some wing damage potentially. Ian coming into the pits to fix that as well.
Yeah, to replace his wing. That's going to take quite a few seconds there just to get that wing on. Remember, you can't jack up your car with a front wing replacement, obviously, because that front jack does go under the nose of that car, but pretty decent stuff so far. What do you reckon that Japan has in store for us today?
Oh, it's been pretty action-packed already. I mean, we've got some good battles out on track between P2 and P3. Obviously, Joel and Alex Ritz are still fighting it out. They're still within half a second of each other, so obviously some good battles there. We had some good battles in the midfield as well, the likes of Ian and Adam. Obviously, that got affected by that Ferrari being seemingly in the middle of the track. I really don't know what happened there, but he was going incredibly slowly considering we are racing. But yeah, some good action out on track at the moment.
Speaking of the Ferrari, we're going to have a look at this replay now. Coming through the S's now, we see over the blind hill as well, the yellow flag's there, so the drivers will have lifted. And yeah, he was re-entering the track into the middle. A swerve from Adam meant that Adam actually didn't sustain any damage, but Ian went straight into the back of him. Adam braked unnecessarily, and that just puts Svaney in such a good touching distance of them in front. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, understandably, Adam obviously reacting to get out of the way of that Ferrari. You don't expect to see a car, especially coming around a blind left-hander, you don't expect to see a car almost like parked in the middle of the track. So he obviously reacted.
Yeah, I think it was very apt, and you can't really blame either of the drivers there. I mean, everyone in Formula 1 likes to point fingers of whose fault it was, but I think that was sort of unavoidable, as you said, over the blind curb. But Adam Forbes now pitting. He's in P13. Josh Amaris managed to come back from his incident, and he's into P11. He's on the medium tyres, but he started on the soft, so he has completed his mandatory compound change. In front of him is Rafael. We see if he's got any damage. I don't think he has. He has not pitted in this race so far. And in front, Archie Middelfeld, who decided to go onto the hard tyres at the start of this pit strategy. Now, it's great that we're getting to see all these different strategies. Max Chapman and Joel Foxhall still in P1 and P2, so I'm not sure what sort of strategy Max is going on, but he's extending the stint as long as he can. Alex Rinser, as I said that, gets into P2 as Joel Foxhall comes into the pits. We'll see what tyres he fits.
Yeah, it looks like Joel is going on to the hard tyres, so he's obviously committing to that one-stop strategy. He's able to go to the end of those hard tyres, I would imagine. The matter of Max Chapman's strategy, I really don't know. I mean, seeing that racing point on the hard tyres, I mean, I would expect him to go onto them as well. But we will see. He's obviously extended his soft stint quite a margin. He may be able to make it to the end of the mediums, but that choice is all up to him.
Well, I don't know what's going on here, but we said it would be quite a while for Torben Schutt to get back up and fighting. He's already back up into P3 and only 16 seconds behind the leader. Wow, what a recovery drive from him as well.
Yeah, certainly. He's actually going to be very, very close to Max Chapman's pit window. I mean, obviously, he's going to have to pit again. I highly doubt he's going to make it to the end on these softs. In fact, I'd probably call that impossible. So he will be expected to pit again. But, I mean, we saw this a few races ago from Torben Schutt. He's got some good pace on those soft tyres consistently throughout the circuit. So he's able to get the time ahead of Max, but he's just gotta keep that now and see if he can make it last.
In the midfield, we're now looking on board with Dylan Hartley. He is trying to get past Andre Abreu. Andre Abreu started in P4. He's dropped one position down to P5. Dylan Hartley started in P7, gained one position up to P6. He has not pitted yet, Andre, but I think Dylan has. He's on the medium tyres. Oh, sorry, he's on the hard tyres, so he'll be chasing down. I think Andre actually may have pitted there, so we'll see in just a second. Yeah, he has pitted. So the only people not to pit so far, Rafael Sveni and Alex Rinser. Alex Rinser now coming into the pits with Torben Schutt just roughly 10 seconds behind, so he will get in front. Max Chapman and Torben Schutt, clearly the two greatest and strongest drivers in this league, as he does get past. Now, and Max Chapman coming in as well, so Torben Schutt is into the lead and decides not to pit.
Yeah, and indeed, and Max goes onto those hard tyres crucially, so he's once again committing to that one-stop strategy, I would imagine. Charlie's about 5 seconds ahead, as Joel gets back in front of Alex Rinser after the pit stop stages as well, so that's good news for him. So yeah.
Oh, is there a collision there between Andre, who sticks the inside line? I think Dylan gave him more than enough room there, but a bit of understeer perhaps into him there, and completely unavoidable there from both those drivers, and lucky that neither of them pick up any damage.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, that looked like a very close racing incident. Going into turn one in Suzuka is always a challenge. I mean, you see that there, and they got a bit too close for comfort.
Yeah, I mean, touches isn't too bad, and very interpretive track limits there from Dylan as he comes across turn 7 and 8. So we'll see what happens now as he comes towards the hairpin of turn 11 and 10. But Dylan has now just lost all of the advantage he had down that straight. But we'll see what he does now as blue flagged cars are now getting lapped. That's Tom Roskell, his first ever lap. First ever race for Kenco F1. He has been lapped and he's getting out of the way pretty aptly, taking up the spot of Thomas Sal, who, he was lapped quite a few times in the league and also did quite well in the league. So it'll be a big boost to Phil, but I'm sure he can do pretty well.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, the battle between Dylan and Andre as well, it's a very important one. They both made their pit stop. They're both on the hard tyres, so it's about ultimate track position, really. So they're both fighting for that P5 position. Obviously, some good points there to pick up.
14 laps remain, and the fastest sector 3 has been set by Max Chapman on new hard tyres, which is interesting considering Torben Schutt on the soft tyres. It just shows you how much of a difference around here. The pace of clean air and the pace of lighter cars is. This time Dylan's too far back, but there is a blue flag, so that might help him in slowing the car in front behind. It is Andre Mustard down in P17. It's not what you expect to see him, is it?
No, not at all, considering he was our pole sitter for last week as well. That is not where we would expect to see him. He didn't have the best qualifying, didn't have the best start clearly, down into P17. He won't be happy with that, no doubt.
Well, there's the fourth blue blackboard, and, well, I think he's actually put some pace in the car and managed to escape the blue flag somehow, for one reason or another. So, I don't know if it's the battle between Andre and Dylan, or whether he's just give it to the beans. Alex Rinser now, P4. He's put on fastest sector 1. I'm not sure what tyres he's gone on to. We'll see in just 1 second. He's on the hard tyres also, so Alex Rinser looks to have more pace than Max Chapman.
Yeah, they've obviously got some good pace out there on those fresh hard tyres, as you said. Certain drivers making the most of them. Obviously, you don't want to wear them in too quickly. They've got to last to the end of the race. But, yeah, there's obviously still some very close battles out on track, specifically this battle for P5. Once again, Dylan Hardy and Andre Abreu fighting ever so closely. I mean, Dylan is within DRS range coming up towards the start-finish straight after they passed through 130R and the chicane. So, he's got a good opportunity going to turn one.
Well, tell me, what makes a good driver, and why is one of them, well, why is that normally to do with tyre wear?
Oh, I mean, there's so many different reasons why you're a good driver, but as you say, one of them being able to manage the tyre. You know, if you compare it to real life Formula One, we've got some great tyre. Some people that some races that can really sustain their tyre life. The likes of Lewis Hamilton going into turn one. Dylan Hartley so close to the back of Andre Abreu. Thought that was going to be it, but once again, very close to turn one. You know, Lewis Hamilton, as I was saying, Lewis Hamilton, you know, he's obviously very good with his tyre wear in the races. You know, he's won races time and time again because of that fact. So, you know, if you're able to sustain your tyre life throughout the race, you've really got a massive advantage on the rivals around you.
No, it's the double Haas retirement. I'm not sure where he's gone off or why he's gone off, but another retiree for Haas. That's not great. Tom Ripley and Matthew Widdowson both out of this session.
Yeah, I don't know where he's gone off. It looks like into the start-finish straight. Maybe he's coming to retire. Maybe he's got an issue with the car and he's come into the pit box and he's decided to retire. I'm not too sure. But as you said, double Haas retirement. They're not going to be happy with that.
No points this weekend for them. Kevin O'Mara comes into the pits and puts on the hard tyres. He gets overtaken by Rio, the new driver for the Renault team. And it's a little bit fishy at the back there. Not great racing at all. But what can you expect with these 2020 regs cars? It just can't follow in the high drag conditions.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, we sort of rely on some sort of weather condition like rain or some adverse weather to get good racing in Formula One. And, you know, that's not really what it's all about. We should expect to see good races, you know, all the time. Sometimes that's also due to the circuit design. We've seen some very interesting circuits being introduced into Formula One, but this might disprove all my points. Going into turn one, Dylan Hartley is still a bit too far back, so unfortunately, once again, even with that DRS brought in to help and supposedly aid racing, he wasn't able to get past.
You took the words right out of my out of my mouth there, Sam. I was going to say, even with the DRS, the assistance of 14 kilometers an hour extra down that pit straight, no can do. He was touching the rear wing of Andre Abreu through 130R and almost practically passed him into Casio, but it still shows you how much drag you get through those slow and medium speed corners that you lose. Well, a second and a half. It was Dylan that lost even just through the matter of 3 corners.
Yeah, I mean, you can visibly see the pace advantage that Dylan has going through the hairpin. You know, they get so close once again, going through turn 8 and turn 9. I mean, Dylan flew over those curbs. The AlphaTauri loving riding over those curbs this weekend, and he's looking incredibly quick behind Andre. He clearly has got some sort of pace advantage on the Williams. It's just a matter of time so we can get in front of him.
It's sort of tight everywhere on the field. Sort of loose everywhere on the field. Everybody sort of has a gap to the car behind, and one place there is not a gap to a car behind. There's a huge collision between Adam Forbes and James Wilson. Adam Forbes closes the gate halfway through a corner, which is definitely not allowed. Max Chapman has gone across the line and goes back into P1 as Torben Schuck comes into the pits. But wow, once again, a second time that we've seen Adam Forbes getting in the way of another driver and possibly causing damage.
Yeah, maybe you're being a bit too aggressive on the defending as Adam in that McLaren. You know, you're allowed to hold your ground, but not too aggressively. Adam doing that twice now, they won't be happy with that.
Yeah, he's been shown the black and white flags by the stewards, so next time it will incur a penalty for him, but I'm sure the McLaren team will be watching him and telling him, don't do that again. And so will the Racing Point team behind us. Just a slipstream, and the effect of all of the power of that Racing Point, we'll see as he goes through 130R now. Will he close the gate once again? He leaves it open. Obviously, that message through from the stewards.
Yeah, certainly much better there going through 130. He obviously was ahead, was Adam, so he's well within his right to stay and stick to that racing line. But James and in P14, very close to the back of the McLaren. He's got that DRS assistance going into turn 1. Once again, he's going to have to try and get past the McLaren. He's going to have to brake very late. He does so. They're still side by side going to turn 1. Adam losing out, getting a bit of understeer mid-corner, and James is passed up into P13.
It's a shame, Adam there. I think, well, he's clearly been told he's got the black and white flag for not leaving enough room, and then leaves too much room there down the inside. I mean, yeah, it's unfortunate there. Obviously, each driver doesn't want to, but you don't want to push it if you've got the black and white flag, and that's fair enough from him, but he's sort of got to push as hard as he can. Torben Schuck on the new tyres. He's lost 5 positions from the start. Remember, he started in P2. Joel Foxer with 3 positions gained. He's got fastest sector 2. Torben Schuck 40 seconds. So clearly, as the fuel rate goes down and as they have less fuel on board, these cars are so much quicker.
Yeah, interestingly, Torben's gone back onto the soft tyres, so he's obviously liking those soft tyres. He obviously had some really good pace, setting some purple sectors before people go on onto their fresh hard tyres. But he thinks that he can get past these guys. I think he will, you know. Clearly, even going through turn 1, he's getting a lot of time, and through the S's, getting a lot of time on Archie Middlefeld in front of him. And he'll be able to get past these few drivers ahead of him, no doubt. His aim will no doubt to get back onto that podium.
Well, I don't know if you can gain another 16 seconds to get to P5 and then another 30 seconds to get up to Max Chapman. So, very, very, I don't know, optimistic, you could say, from the Ferrari. But if I've ever learned anything from this is never doubt Charlie's strategy. And this battle that we've seen going on between Andre and Dylan is now going to contain the Ferrari of Torben Schutt. But I'm quite perplexed here. Torben Schutt was second, then he dropped all the way down to 10th, and now he's then he went up to first, and now he's back to 7th. Interesting strategy from the Ferrari boys, but we see it pay off time and time again, and it looks like it may pay off now as he chases the Renault of Archie Middlefeld all the way back down the back straight and all the way down to 130R. I think a move will be made by Dylan Hartley now, but round the outside of 130R like absolute gold dust. What a beautiful move from Torben Schutt.
Yeah, great stuff. He had so much more speed coming out of the corner leading up to the back straight. Leading also is Dylan Hartley. Oh my, there's slipstream there from Torben Schutt on Dylan Hartley. He's going to get past him. Oh, maybe a double overtake it to turn 1. Torben Schutt, 3 moves in the space of about 5 corners. Wow.
Beautiful stuff there. Dylan Hartley down the inside of Andre Abreu. He can't make it work, but look at how much pace he's got over those drivers. Those soft tyres are so ridiculously quick.
Yeah, I mean, beautiful stuff. He's took advantage of all of that. Obviously, Dylan and Andre fighting very, very aggressively as they have been the past 2 laps, and yeah, up into P4 already. I mean, I said it. I think this podium is well in reach for Torben Schutt.
I think he may have this win in reach because he's only got to gain another 10 seconds to get to Max Chapman. So, wow. What a race so far for Torben Schutt, but he's got to make sure those tyres last all the way.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously managed to get past 3 cars in the space of 1 lap since he put on those soft tyres, so that's incredible news for him. As the battling with other drivers is where you really, really lose out on tyre wear. He's only 4 seconds behind the Red Bull in front of him, so he's obviously got a bit of time to gain there, but still within reach for him. We've seen it time and time again.
That was a ridiculous move from Charlie there into turn 1. A triple overtake in the space of 2 corners, and then 1 corner, a double overtake. Wow. What a driver.
Yeah, I mean, it was just unfolding in front of my eyes. I saw him come out the final corner, get so much speed on the Alpha Tower. He got that DRS and the slipstream on Dylan. He's just breezed past him before the halfway mark on the start-finish straight. So yeah, I mean, that was textbook stuff from him.
I have no idea how he got such a good release out that final corner. It was as if he had a rocket booster on the back of that Ferrari.
Yeah, he obviously got some great traction on those soft tyres coming out the final corner, and those the guys around him on those hard tyres not quite as sticky. So yeah, not getting as good of a release on the final corner as you put it.
1 lap later, he's lapping the teammate of the man who's in P1. Blue flags have shown, and there's a yellow flag in sector 1. I think that may have been because Kevin getting out of the way though, so not as interesting as I thought it may have been. But 7 laps he's got once he passes the finish line again. Can those tyres go to the end, and can he eke out? Well, what is that? Almost 12 seconds of pace to catch Max.
I mean, that is quite an ask, but he's gained about 1.2 seconds on the Red Bull, which is pretty good in about the space of a lap. I remember saying just about now he had about 4 seconds to the Red Bull in front of him, so that's good pace from him. He'll be able to catch the Red Bull within pretty much no time, about 2 laps, I reckon. And then Joel is 2 seconds in front of Alex Rinser, so I still think P2 is doable, but P1 is a big ask.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. Everybody on the medium tyre, everybody in the top 10 in the hard, except for Rafael and Torben. Obviously, both of these Ferrari drivers on the alternate strategy, we see it every time. There we go, down the pit straight. Torben Schutt is chasing both of the drivers in front in the matter of, well, what, 6 seconds that he could chase all the way through there, and into the curves he goes through the Suzuka S's, and wow, touching distance to the cars in front.
Yeah, Dylan Hartley's dropped down to PA. I really don't know what's happened there. I was riding on board. I think going through 130R, he spun it. I mean, he doesn't look like he has any any front wing damage. I don't know if he was battling with Andre. Maybe got a bit close going through 130R, but he's definitely lost out. He's down into PA. Not good news for him at all.
Well, that will be investigated after the race, obviously, by the stewards, and they'll decide what course of action to take between Andre and Dylan. But if it was just Dylan getting a little bit too interpretive on the track limits, then and you know, putting the throttle down too quick, I don't know what I can say. Josh Amara back into the points. He started for the second time ever in Q3 this weekend, and he's lost one position from his starting position, but he's back in the points after 2 pit stops today. Josh obviously caught in that first lap collision, and ever since still trying to catch up. Torben Schutt's pace absolutely dropped off now. We said last lap, 2 seconds to the car in front. He's still got 2 seconds to the car in front, of 14 seconds now to Max Chapman. Max Chapman's clearly got the message that he's hot on his heels.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, his team will be feeding him that information. He's obviously knows they will be under threat from Charlie towards the end of the race. But going through the chicane, I think once again, you know, this final sector seems to be incredibly quick for the Ferrari, and he's gained about 4 tenths in the last sector alone. So that's obviously good news for him. But you know, if he wants P2, he's definitely gotta go a bit quicker than this.
We've got the cameras now on Joel Foxall. A pretty solitude-like race for him, but 7 seconds behind a leader in an old tyre set and one that is significantly longer than Max Chapman's. Fair play to him.
Yeah, not too shabby at all. Obviously, we saw that battle between him and Alex Rintzer in the Red Bull. The Red Bull's obviously dropped off quite a bit now. I mean, only 1 second behind his children shirt on him. Just testament to his pace. But yeah, I mean, Joel's obviously been having a very solid race. Up in P2, I'm sure he'll be very happy with that.
Kevin O'Mara has dropped quite a few positions. He was qualifying P14, he's dropped now down towards P16. Unfortunate there for Kevin, and I think he's been on the verge of points so many times in the Kenco F1 League. Obviously, he's only been with us since Spa. I think he's come along quite well.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, we've seen quite a few drivers, you know, being so close to the points. Josh comes to mind in the McLaren. He's always within touching distance, but you know, it's you have to think about the race holistically and realize that it's 27 laps long. You can't make any silly mistakes, otherwise you just lose out as Torben does get past the Red Bull driver up into P3 on the podium once again.
Our fastest lap from Max Chapman. Is there enough room for a safety stop? He's got 10 seconds to the car behind. Do you reckon he could eke out, well, how long's a pit stop here? 24 seconds, 14 seconds in the space of 5 laps? I don't think it's enough.
No, I don't think that will quite be enough, as you said. I mean, he might still have enough pace in those soft tyres to go for the fastest lap. He's 3 seconds behind Joel Foxall. Joel Foxall really at risk now from this Ferrari driver. We've seen how quickly he got to overtaking Alex Rintzer in the Red Bull. I mean, Joel will definitely be fighting now very hard.
I'm just going to butt in here for a second and say happy birthday to Torben Schutt. It's his birthday today, so it'll be great for him to get up onto the second step of the podium, as he so often does. And I mean, even up on the top step would be great for him, but I don't think Max Chapman's making any mistakes today.
Let's hopefully not jinx that for Max's sake. But yes, he's been very strong on his birthday, has Torben Schutt. Now we're only 2.2 seconds behind Joel. It's going to get very close. 5 laps left in the race. I mean, it's plenty of time to gain 2 seconds, I believe.
I think we're all forgetting that he was last on the I say last. He was out of the points in the space of 3 laps at the start, and he's made his way all the way back up to the podium and possibly up to P2. So what a drive.
Yeah, I mean, you have to think, if that mistake hadn't happened with the tyres, where would Torben Schutt have been? Maybe he would have been fighting for that win. I mean, he's clearly got some good pace. I mean, every single week I'm just thinking that he's got some incredible pace on these soft tyres. He loves to go onto the soft tyres during the race. He's really able to make the most of them. And once again, he's showing that.
Yeah, great stuff there from Torben Schutt. In other words, Dylan Hartley, we spoke about him. He has not got any wing damage, as you so clearly and eloquently put, but he's chasing his teammate, so I don't know if it's a team order and Jay, or maybe Jay just had some significantly great pace, or as you said, it could have just been a spin.
I mean, I definitely saw him spin. It was the fact of why it happened. I didn't see any cars around him. In fact, I cut to him quite late into the spin, but yeah, that's why he's down into P8, but I'm not too sure why he actually spun, whether it was his own fault or some collisions with other cars.
What about Ian Hanmore? We said he could be in the points today, but he's chasing by 2 seconds Josh O'Mara. Josh O'Mara's quite comfortably been in the points today. 45 seconds, Rafał is behind Dylan Hartley. So, realistically, Josh can only get as high as 9th today.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, Ian obviously running his own race, really. He's 13, nearly 14 seconds ahead of James in P12, about 3.5 seconds behind Josh in P10. So he's not really that close to the points, and obviously not got that much competition behind him. Obviously, Josh flew past him on those fresh soft tyres, and he's been able to keep that point in P10 at the moment.
There's been numerous strong performances today. I mean, Saini, albeit outside the points, to come back from that spin, what an incredible drive. And I think if I were to vote for Driver of the Day today, I think that would be, if you do want to vote for Driver of the Day, it's kencotv.uk/vote. Do go ahead and get that in. Make sure you can vote for whomever you think deserves it today. I think Rafał and Rio are not on the score sheets today, so we'll have to get that changed for the future. But that's just me being lazy. But in other news, Xfeni, wow, what a drive to come back from being, well, numerous seconds behind, from spinning, having flat spotted tyres, to still come back and after a pit stop only be 1 minute behind the leader is pretty damn good.
Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, having those spins, I think they were off his own accord. Obviously not the best news for him. But as he said, you know, considering he did have that spin, he was facing the complete wrong way. To be up into P13, a pretty good recovery drive. Only 3 places outside the points, of course.
I'm not too sure about that. We've just had a message in from one of the fans at home. Doesn't Charlie need to pit again? Because technically he's only been on 1 tyre set, parentheses, soft. And so, basically, he needs to pit again, otherwise shouldn't he get a time penalty? I'm not sure how that works, because he did start on the medium tyres and then changed it to the softs. But if we are going on the on the tyres he should have been, which are the soft, he has only been on soft since the start of the race. Do you know anything about that, Sam?
I think the issue is, in real life Formula 1, if you start on the wrong compound, you don't get to change your tyres, you just get a time penalty. So that's quite a tricky one. I mean, he did obviously start the race on those medium tyres. He's gone up to 2 soft sets, as you correctly say. It's obviously an unusual situation. It's obviously a very good point as well. But I honestly don't know, because in real life Formula 1, it's treated slightly differently to how we've treated it today.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too sure about that, so we will be investigating that after the race. That is a good point. So it says FA states there needs to be a scheduled compound change. Yes, that is correct. However, I don't know. Does the time lost by the change from mediums to softs at the start count? I'm not sure.
Well, I mean, he's been penalised by about 20 or so seconds having to come into the pits additionally. I mean, testament to his own pace, he's up into P3. That wasn't because he had to do the extra stop that he gained that time. He obviously lost a lot of time having to do the extra stop, as we have, as we saw. So, yeah, it's obviously an unusual situation. Obviously, as the FIA ruling is a bit vague, it's obviously dealt with on a situational basis.
Yeah, I agree, but I think if Torben Schutt was to lose anything today, it was his dignity by not coming in P2, as he chases Joel Foxall now. 2 laps to go to gain 6/10 on the car in front. He's got to nurse the tyres home, because you've got to remember these have been 8 laps, and I'm sure, no doubt, he'll be investigated after the race, but I think you're indefinitely correct there, where you say it's punishment enough to lose 30 seconds and possibly the win today.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, who knows where he would have been had he not gone onto the wrong compound. Obviously, only him and his team made that mistake. But yeah, I mean, he's about a second behind Joel going into turn 1. I mean, his soft tyres might be slightly falling off. He's got that DRS. He's obviously nowhere near close enough. He's only going to have 2 more opportunities now on the penultimate lap of the race, so that those chances really slowly falling away for Charlie.
I don't know, Sam, you've raced before. I was just on board with Torben Schutt down the pit straight, and obviously although it's not relied on nowadays because of team radios and such like that, but the pit boards hanging out of the pit wall, I couldn't read a word of it, and I don't know how the drivers are expected to see that. I don't know, from your experience?
I mean, I really don't know if anybody uses them. You know, you see in real life Formula 1 examples of information being displayed on these pit boards, and then a few corners afterwards, a driver will ask for that exact information. So I think most drivers don't use them simply because, you know, they're always on the start-finish straight, and that's when they're going to be going at their fastest. So to have to look slightly to the right on the pit board, you may be going just past too quickly to be able to read it.
I don't know how they do read it, but someone who's going to be reading Joel like a book today is Torben Schutt. He's got no resources. That's interesting now, but through into the Tetris corners. Oh, no. Oh, and there's a huge lock up there and gone incredibly deep. Joel will have a chance to get back at him. A collision there between Schutt and Foxhole, but he's in front, and Joel will have the DRS. No, he will not. Torben Schutt somehow has managed to calm the system and got the DRS down the back straight. A bit of a collision there between those two. Will be a few loose hands in the paddock, I reckon.
Yeah, that was a good move there from Charlie, though, going very, very deep into, late into the chicane, and he made it stick. I mean, Joel's obviously still got some pace going through the S's. He's going to be fighting for that P2 position. He's been running in it for a very, very long time in the race. But yeah, Charlie up into P2. Very, very well done.
Well done to him to get back from the rear of the grid all the way up to P2, despite the compound change, despite the second pit stop, despite having all of this adversity. He is up into P2 and only 7 seconds in behind the leader, which is, wow, I don't know, it does make you think, doesn't it, Sam?
It certainly does. I think that will be in the back of his mind after this race has finished. Obviously, we are on the final lap, so to gain that time on the final lap is pretty much for him today, but nevertheless, a great effort.
Well done for Josh as well. I mean, we are in the final lap, so he's got a second and a half. Well, Kevin on the final lap has retired from the session through the S's. He's lost the rear and gone into the wall there. We see him. Oh, wow, Kevin. Oh, that's not pretty sight. But Josh has done pretty well. 1.7 seconds to Rafael in front. But he is going to be in the points. And across the line comes Max Chapman. Pretty silent for him today. Behind him, Torben Schutt with an absolutely amazing race. He's coming P2, and behind him, Joel Foxhall on the podium once again in Kenco F1. Alex Renser, who had a great strategy and a great qualifying, is in P4 behind Archie Middelfeld. He pitted early and it paid off for him behind Andre Abreu, who is under investigation. So we'll see what happens with them. And the two AlphaTauri teammates coming across in tandem. We'll see if there's a move here coming into the Casio triangle, but I don't think there will be. Jay Robinson and Dylan Hartley will come across the line in tandem as teammates. They'll come across to come P7 and 8, and behind by about a minute is Josh, Omar and Rafael. Josh picking up the 3rd ever point of his career, so well done to Josh.
Yeah, nicely done. Obviously, seeing those two AlphaTauri cross the line at the same time in what, you know, technically could be their, regarded as their home race, obviously rocking that Honda power unit built here in Japan. But yeah, I mean, obviously not the race that Dylan Hartley would have wanted. He was much closer to the front of the field earlier on, but still, P7 and 8 is not too shabby.
Yeah, well done. Got to mention, ladies and gentlemen, you can vote for your driver of the day today. Kenco.tv / I think that's correct. kenkotv.uk / vote for your driver of the day. There's a couple of drivers under investigation, but I think it'll all be decided after the race. And well done to Max Chapman for the win. Well done to Charlie, but maybe not well done to Charlie. I don't know. Either way, happy birthday to Charlie, and a happy birthday to all of you. Even if it isn't your birthday, happy birthday, because you stayed and you watched the race, and thank you for that.
Oh my God, these feelings just begun. I'm saying things I've never said, doing things I've never done. Oh my God, when I see you I should it right, but I'm frozen in motion and my head tells me to stop, feelings I feel about us. Try to fight it, but it's never enough. My heart is hurting, it's more than a crush, 'cause I'm frozen in motion and my head tells
Ladies and gentlemen, in the commentary box, we're joined by Dylan Hartley. Dylan, tell us what happened. Apparently, you spun.
Me and Archie were going, racing, having some good battles side by side. And I forgot what turn it is, but just before the final chicane,
I think it was through
Um,
130R, wasn't it?
yes, I was on the inside and he turned in and clipped my front right, causing me to spin.
I don't know. We didn't see you battling with Archie. We thought it was Andre. But yeah, so
I was battling with Andre for quite a bit.
yeah, unfortunate there. Any words to him? He finished P5 in the end.
Not really. I mean, it was a good battle. It just needs to be a bit more careful. I'm gonna go talk to him in the paddock now, see what he has to say about it.
Well, I hope it's not Max Verstappen, Esteban Ocon. That's all I'm gonna say.
Nah, it won't be that.
Let me go punch him for you. Anyway, how do you feel personally your performance? Well, as a team, rather than personally, how do you feel that went? Obviously, we saw you and Jay coming across the line in sort of I think it was a 2003, 2004. I think it was Barrichello and Michael Schumacher in Indianapolis, where they both came across the line at the same time. Anyway, it's 71st anniversary Grand Prix. I'm reminiscing back to before my time, but I think it was very reminiscent of a beautiful team moment between you and your teammate.
Yeah, indeed. Jay performed absolutely amazingly today. I mean, couldn't have asked more. He gained four positions this race, I think. No, three. I can't remember. But Jay performed absolutely amazingly today. Couldn't have asked for more.
Well, what's your strategy for next week? You've got a couple races left for the season. Only 4 now. After Japan, there's only 4 left now. So we've got Kota next week. Then we go over to Mexico, and then it is Abu Dhabi and Interlagos.
Well, at the moment, we still don't know the strategy for next race. But we'll try. The strategy at the moment is obviously keep qualifying high and try to just maintain the position on the start or gain. That's what we're trying to do at the moment.
Well, I think it's worked for you numerous times in the past, and I think it's worked for you definitely this week. Just a shame for the spin with you and Archie.
Yeah, I'm going to go see him in the paddock now.
All right, see you later.
See ya.
We'll talk to Charlie, the birthday boy now. I'm not sure if we can find him in the paddock. We'll just drag him in now. Charlie, great race, great recovery drive and all. What do you think to all of these words in the paddock? Apparently, the birthday boy here has had an illegal tyre strategy. What do you say to that, to the naysayers?
I don't know. There's no such rule like that.
I mean, there is
And,
one.
the
There must
thing
be
is-
one tyre compound change.
Yeah. That's what I did.
But I don't know. A lot of people are saying that because the tyres you started on were not meant to be that. Does that count? What was going through the Ferrari strategists?
Yeah. I mean, I had to suffer a lot with the tires anyway. I was on 70% on both of these softs, so it was like very dodgy, and I had no advantage at all from that. If anything, it was a massive disadvantage. So I don't think.
I think me
that
and Sam
is,
sort of said the same thing
Yeah.
as you, that you lost enough time through the pit stop and having to nurse the
Exactly.
tires home. So
Yeah, in the end, it was an extra pit stop, and it was very, very risky as well because, like I said, my tires on the end were both at 72%, both soft sets. So, if I would have just pushed one more lap or something, could have easily gotten a puncture, so it was a massive risk as well.
well done to you to get all the way from the back of the grid, or should I say, out of the points, up all the way to second place in the end. Well done for you. How does that feel to know that you've beaten the midfield twice today?
Well, it was a really interesting recovery drive. I think I had a lot of fun going through the field. Certainly did quite a few interesting overtakes, and it was just a really fun race overall, I would say.
Yeah, well done to you. What do you think about this, Joel?
Oh, I'm here. Sorry. Can you say again? I'll just
Well,
not.
what do you think about the soft strategy?
I think it's definitely a controversial one. He obviously he lost a lot of time for his pit stop going from the mediums to the softs, and the softs are a very well used tyre around here. Obviously, sector 1 needing a lot of downforce, a lot of grip through the fast S's, and it's a track that you're going to need a lot of tyre gripping with being on the hards for a lot of the race compared to someone that has practically done a soft with a pit stop, or 2 pit stops technically. Then it's a controversial one. I think it should be looked at, but yeah, Charlie did really well to get back through the field, and yeah, whatever happens, Charlie had a great race. So yeah.
Oh, well done to you as well, Joel. You two battling it out all the way to the last lap. What did you think when Charlie pulled that huge dive bomb down the inside into the Casio triangle?
Yeah, definitely something. I think the paint is going to need a revamp. It definitely. Oh, it didn't get squeezed off the track. I definitely fought back to try and get some revenge, at least to try and stay on the track and not have to cut the corner completely. It was definitely lunge, a flashback of the Alex Albon Lando Norris back from I think it was what, 2019,
I tried to give you
2018.
spacing.
Yeah, well, it was a good move. It's close, and yeah, that's what it's racing. You know, if you don't go for a gap that doesn't exist, if you go for a gap that exists, then technically you're racing, as Santana once said.
I don't think that's quite the quotation, but well,
No, I revamped it to my own needs.
If you don't go for a gap that exists, you're a racing driver. Joel Foxhall 2K21. There we have it. But I was gonna say you brought up the paint, the cars may need a repaint. Are you suggesting that the silver paint of the Mercedes is being shown from under your Racing Point car?
Well, that's something that only we can know.
Well, clearly not anymore.
Well, yeah, true, but
either way, are you both
Yeah.
looking forward to next week? Looking forward to Kota?
yeah, I'd say it's a tricky track, as is Suzuka. Definitely Suzuka is a lot harder, but both fun tracks, both fast left rights, with some low speed corners as well. It's going to have some good racing, good overtakes, of course, and something definitely that you should watch, because it will have some very good moves, I can imagine, into some dive bombs and round the outside, like the Max Verstappen on Kimi Raikkonen.
Well, you heard it here from both the drivers first. Next week, Kota. Wow. Well, what a race it's set to be. And make sure you're here, because Joel and Charlie will be battling out for P2 again. See you later, guys.
Oh my God, can't believe what I've become. I'm thinking things I shouldn't think, singing songs I've never sung. Oh my God, when I see you, I should run.